And the Oscar goes to Martin Scorsese.
Martin Scorsese's road to the Oscars began in
Martin Scorsese, the Oscar-winning director, once stated that Marvel films are market-researched, audience-tested, vetted, modified, revetted and remodified until they're ready for consumption and sequels in name, but remakes in spirit. Though his attack on Marvel films brought a lot of controversy, I don't believe he is entirely wrong. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. I think that the oversaturation of franchises, particularly superhero movies, has caused a decline in cinema in the 21st century. In the last 20 years, there have been many blockbuster franchises. To name a few, the MCU, DCEU, Monsterverse, Fast and Furious, and Star Wars. Most of these have been post-2008, and I want to start there. This was when the first MCU movie was released, Iron Man. This film was a box office hit, bringing in $585.8 million. This sparked the biggest film franchise ever made. However, this was not necessarily the best thing. This unlocked the idea that film studios can use lazy writing, sequels, and iconic characters to bring in audiences. And this did work for a long time. But lately, post-COVID, Marvel has been pumping out content every 4 to 5 months, favoring quantity over quality, which was noticeable. It felt like you had to watch 4 other projects to understand the latest blockbuster. Audiences were getting sick of this, and it was showing as the last Marvel film only grossed $84.5 million in the US. Most of the films have a repetitive story and lazy writing because the studios know that the characters and the names the film is associated with will attract audiences. A good example of this is the DCEU. They used big names from the comics such as Batman, Superman, and the Justice League to attract the audience, but failed to follow up with solid films. This is due to a few reasons: poor writing, lack of screen testing, and studio interference. Studio interference has been a topic of conversation in the film industry for a long time. A lot of big-budget films such as Solo, Justice League, and the 2015 Fantastic Four all suffered at the hands of producers and studios interfering. This is usually done to make the film more marketable and profitable. In addition, studios favor sequels and reboots as they are less risky and more likely to profit. This is one of the reasons I believe there has been a lack of original films over the past 20 years. There are still many amazing films to have come out over the years, however, the increase in franchise films and remakes has become more noticeable in recent times. This chart shows the rise of franchise films and the decline of original films. As you can see, in the late 2010s, there was a turning point in which original films started to decline and franchise films were getting more popular. And post-COVID, it is getting closer and closer. However, this also doesn't include the countless content releases on streaming services such as Disney and HBO Max. I want to mention a much more recent indie production company starting in 2012, A24, that specializes in indie films. They have become very successful and are a regular at the Oscars, with films such as Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Iron Claw, and The Whale, all being highly acclaimed and successful at the box office. Everything Everywhere All at Once winning Best Picture at the Oscars was a highlight, as many of challenges were big-budget blockbusters. The reason for this success is they let the director take control and express their vision, supporting independent filmmaking and independent cinema. The decline of original films is linked to the decline of cinema as a whole in recent years due to COVID. If we look back at the chart, you can see there is a clear dip after 2020 that still hasn't recovered and may never. COVID affected everything. However, 4 years later, a lot of places have recovered. Cinemas are a shell of what it used to be. This is due to streaming services which took over during the pandemic, which have taken over the media space and taking away from what studios such as A24 stand for. Studios can't take risks on smaller original films because there is no guarantee that they will succeed, and post-COVID, it's much worse. Lewis Pearce states, with a lack of new ideas perpetuating the vicious circle of Hollywood's failings, the new ideas which stick or they think will stick are being built as major franchises. I think this quote sums up the film industry at the current moment. Big studios wasting beloved characters and material to make money.